Hey guys, welcome back to Prep Talk on Prepping in Progress. Or is it Jeep Talk? I don't know. Today we're going to talk about ham radio and comms. I'm a ham radio extra class, and I just love comms. To me, ham radio is essential for your supplies and preparedness. Comms allow you to get in touch with people when you are in a bad way. And as I head up the mountain, here's Pop. I'm reminded of why I carry my handheld when I'm up here, just in case something happens. I'm not sure if we're going to have prayer time on this one or not, because it will go up from it's going to have to go up early in order to facilitate. We're going to be out in the field this week. So, yeah. I'm sure future videos will have that trip on it. So, stay with us and let's get into ham radio and comms. Okay, so I am running an older model Yaesu FT2900R 75 watt radio here in the Jeep. And to be honest with you guys, I'm probably going to downgrade it to a 25 watt QYT soon. Mostly because the ones I'm looking at have 2, 3, and sometimes 4 bands depending on which one you get. And they're relatively inexpensive. Now, I would lose power, which would mean I would lose the ability to transmit over as great a distances as I currently have with my 75 watt Yaesu. But I gain 2 to 3 bands. My Yaesu only works on 2 meter. Why am I stressing comms today? The mountains around southwest Arkansas are treacherous. In the last 2 years, we have had 2 hikers go missing. Thankfully, these guys were found and in relatively good shape. One was gone for almost a week, and they finally managed to get cell service to him and triangulate his position and drop in on him. Now, if he'd had a ham radio, he could have at least been monitoring and, stayed where he was. We're still not sure why he moved on, but hey, you know what? He's got a book deal. He may explain it in that. Up above Mena is Queen Wilhelmina State Park. Now you can look this one up. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but years ago, a lady went up here in the winter with her family. They decided to walk Lover's Leap Trail. She decided it was too rough for her and went back to the car, supposedly, and was never seen again. Now, some people who were working at the time have said that she was never on the mountain. They don't know. Other people say she was. Her family said, who were with her say she was there. Who knows? But if she did go missing on this mountain, and this is still an open case, they've never found anything of her. But if she had gotten lost or, gone off the trail and had just a handheld ham radio, she could have called out for help. The local ham radio club would have brought out their fox hunting gear and been able to triangulate her position and find her. So there's a case where if it happened as it's been described, and as the casebook says, a ham radio could have saved a life. Well, there's more to it than that. And how shall I put this? You make friends when you are interacting with the ham radio community. You get to meet people. You go to club meetings. Speaking of which, I need to pay my dues for next year and actually get active in the local club again. There are Facebook groups for ham radio preppers. In fact, if you are in Arkansas, or possibly even the surrounding areas, there is a group called the Homestead Signal Corps. Really great group of guys. I've learned a lot discussing on the page and whatnot. These guys are very, very, very knowledgeable. Gordy from the APN is on there. Mark from the APN is on there. And these gentlemen are so knowledgeable, and they want to help you. They want to help the hobby expand, because it's a hobby, and it's an expensive hobby. Let's be honest. When you start getting into around the world communications, you're looking at $600 to $800 for a radio. And it is expensive and fun. You know, I've hit every continent on the U.S. Just 2 nights ago, I was listening to Morse code coming out of Antarctica. One of the research stations was on the air. You know, we're always talking about community. We're talking about building your community before the event. Having people who have knowledge in your circle. Well, I have never seen a group of people more willing, more wanting to pour their knowledge into you than hams. Hams adore teaching. We adore explaining things. And if you're talking to a younger ham like me, I've got all the theory in my head, but some of the things that are out there, I don't have practical applications with. The new DMR radio stuff, I am not computer literate on that, and how to take my radio and the internet and ping into a repeater tower on the other side of the world. There are some elements of antenna building that I'm not great with. And that's why I have friends who will sit down with me and go, okay, where are your parts? Okay, here's your problem. You need to solder this here, and have this piece here, and this needs to screw into the coax, and this is what you do. They want to give you this knowledge. And anymore, you can get on your phone and look for, I believe it's Ham Test Prep Technician by Roy Watson, and it's got his call sign on it. That's a free app. Now, it's got some ads, but okay, I hit the close button on the ad after it pops up and keep going. And so you've got a free app that has all of the questions that you could possibly face on your test. on it. Then you turn around and every single one of these questions is part of a random pool. It'll randomize a test for you. And you play this thing like a knowledge game, just learning the answers to the questions until you're hitting an 80% success rate multiple times on the random tests, because you've already gone through every single question and had answers for every single question for free. You walk in, you find a ham club, you walk in, make sure that they have 3 volunteer exam coordinators present and the test. Most ham clubs ask for a $15 donation, which pays the postage for your paperwork and goes into the club coffers so that they can keep doing this. You write the test, they're all watching to make sure you're not cheating. And once the test is written, it gets sent in. Your license arrives in the mail. You're a licensed radio amateur. For 35 bucks on Radiodity, you buy a little handheld radio. You learn how to program it. Or, you can even go so far as to get the, the free chirp program if it'll work on your computer. RT Systems Incorporated has downloadable computer programs that will work with your computer. It's basically a spreadsheet. You enter in all the values for the repeater, the plus minus, if it's got an input on one and an output on another frequency. And you're at least a technician. You've made friends with the people who administered your test. You've made Facebook friends with things like Homestead Signal Corps. And you are on the air communicating. All for under $100. All of this can be done for under $100. Wow. So under $100, you've done a prep that is not just a consumable like food, shelter. Well, shelter's not really a consumable. But you've put a skill into place. Because I'll be honest with you, once you're a technician and you're on the air, you are going to learn a lot more from being on the air than you're going to learn from the book. Seriously, the biggest thing I took away from my technician study is the caveat rule, law, regulation by the FCC that says when in an emergency situation, a life or death situation, regardless of your licensing level, use whatever frequency is most likely to bring help. That means that a non-ham in a life or death situation can pick up a radio, and if they can get it to work for them, or if it's pre-programmed, they can use anything from the 2-meter VHF frequencies to the HF around the world frequencies. You can reach out, touch a guy in Japan if you happen to have the antenna and everything hooked up right, and ask him to call your local search and rescue to come find you. And legally, as long as you are in dire straits, you're not going to be fined by the FCC, period. End of story. And now let's get into the touchy subject. There's that one guy out there who is right now saying, "But Steve, I don't need a license in SHTF. I'm not going to need it. I highly doubt that the FCC is going to be functioning during the end of the world." You're probably right. And with the caveat rule, as long as you're in a life or death situation, yeah, they're not going to do anything to you. Absolutely. But I've said it before in other videos, I'm going to say it again. We're not going to talk to you. If you just want to jaw jack and flap your gums, no. If you're out there going, "Who's got supplies I want to trade?" That's cute. No. We're going to move up frequency a bit and talk to each other. And the odds are that we might even say, Kilowatt Fox 7WZ, go to 147420 +1 +5. If you're not a ham, do you know what that means? Seriously. And what I really love is the people who get on the air and give fake call signs or use their CB call sign. Guys, we know you're not a legitimate operator. We can even tell who's a new operator just based on the verbiage used. I remember when I was a brand new extra, and I wasn't even an extra. I was a brand new technician. And I was on a net. A net is where people from all over a state or a given area will meet either on a frequency or on a repeater and check in. It's usually once a week, once a month. And, the net control likes to have his numbers of, not only the license of who checked in, but, they keep a tab. 27 people came in. Hey, we're doing really good. And I was asked my handle. I don't really have one. KF5, I didn't realize the handle was slang for my name. They wanted to say, "Hey, Steve." I kind of felt like an idiot. Looking back, it was my third night as a ham radio operator, I believe. And that was one of the things that was not covered in the book. And there are other easy tells as to whether you're a new operator or not an operator. Operator! So go out and get the license. I mean, come on, seriously. Especially for those of you guys out there who are getting the gear. And some of you may even know how to use it, but you don't have the license to go on and play. And I get that some people either only have a P.O. box or a rural route and they don't want to put that address in or the actual home location in on their FCC license. I get that. And that's a legitimate concern for some people just because they don't want to lose their privacy. I mean, hey, that's cool. But for the rest of y'all's, go forth and do. It's relatively painless, relatively cheap, and you get to meet a whole bunch of cool people. And you're going to get pulled into something we talked about last week, swap meets. You're going to have ham fests, which are basically rendezvous, swap meets, really cool places where you get to see the new tech. You can go and buy new radios, and you can trade and get older radios cheaply. A couple years ago, I picked up a Cobra 142 GTL CB at a ham radio swap meet. Now, yeah, hams have a bit of a disdain and bad taste for CBers, but we're preppers. We believe in having multiple avenues of communication available to us. And that 142 GTL is a sideband CB, which means that not only is it AM right down the center of the frequency with, standard drift, channel 1 through 40, but then I take this little knob and I either turn it left to go lower sideband or right to go upper sideband, and I am just a few frequencies off of the middle line frequency, and I can have a little bit of privacy, not much because there's bleed over, but sidebanding can get fun and get into the ham aspect of long distance. Now, officially, you're not supposed to be boosting power and all this stuff to do long distance communication on a CB. It's supposed to be, 5 to 17 miles, sometimes 20 to 30, depending on the conditions. I've listened and talked to North Carolina and Texas from Arkansas. Okay. I remember 1 week where just a standard Uniden Pro 538W CB, I was sitting in the parking lot at work in Lincoln, Nebraska, talking to a trucker in Texas. Weather conditions were just right. The ionosphere was bouncing the signal just right, that my little fire stick on the back of my geo tracker, tucked down between the body of the vehicle and the spare tire, was going halfway across the nation. So 1, don't discount CBs. 2, you can pick up some really cool deals at ham swap meets and festivals, and ham fests as they're called most often. Big one in Dayton, Ohio once a year. It's kind of like the SHOT Show of ham fest. So pretty much I just want to encourage you guys, again, go out, get your license. I'm about to go out and hike for a bit, and this is what I'm carrying. I'll be able to hit, I might even throw a picture of it. That's one of the repeater towers right over there. And as long as I'm in a semi-line of sight to the tower, without, a mountain cliff in between us or down in a valley, I'll be able to get communications all the way down to search and rescue in the town 10, 15 miles away down the mountain and through a valley, because my signal will go to that tower and that tower will get it there. So, thanks for watching our prep talk on comms and ham radio. do us a favor, and if you get your license, let us know. We'd love to catch you on the air. I'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks for watching Prep Talk.